Coach Shiano and staff continue to adapt and make good use in the portal.
Okay, what is it tonight? Please just tell me what the hell.
Okay, so Rutgers, Coach Shiano and staff continue to build upon its pretty solid performance in the portal by landing a couple more guys. We land a much needed pass rusher from James Madison, and that's Eric O Neill. And we have another Zelinskas in the fold, and yes, he plays center. I have to give it to Greg Shiano and staff. They are adapting to the new realities of the world of the transfer portal. You know, initially they were kind of ambivalent about it. You know, he's kind of an old school guy, but he's never been kind of a guy that didn't have the ability or would look to the future. He kind of sees where things are going. It's a matter of how he's going to adapt it to his personality, his style, and to the program, and how does it align with his values. I think some of that will have to change in the future. We'll get to that in a bit. Nonetheless, Greg Shiano and staff adapting to the new realities of the transfer portal, which he originally saw as something you just plug in players and needs to kind of fill your roster holes, and that wasn't a bad strategy. But it's becoming more and more apparent with each passing day that the transfer portal is displacing recruiting high school kids. You're going to have guys, for the most part, that have experience, are ready to play. Maybe they're highly rated. They were utilized incorrectly or underutilized, and now they're looking to move on. Or they were under-recruited, did very well. Now they're looking to make the next step. So you can plug and play with transfer portal players and literally turn your team and your rosters around. We've seen Deion Sanders, Colorado, replace his entire roster. We saw Kurt Signetti at Indiana bring in 13, 14 guys from James Madison, and you know, they became a college football playoff team. So it's now not just a tool, but it's a way to get better soon, get better now. You know, Coach has said a million times that this is a developmental program, and we get it. We understand what he's trying to do. We're not Alabama, Michigan, or Ohio State. We're going to have guys that develop into the kind of players that we like and that we think can be successful. Nonetheless, Eric O Neill was a guy that I know the guys at the Night Report zoned out there. It's really cold today. I just came in from the outside, and my brain's still frozen. Got a little something though to make me warm. If you guys ever see this Good Times Bourbon Special Edition release for the Garden State, it's a double oak and aged in Mexican vanilla casks, cask strength, 116 proof. You can find them in some of the buy rights. If you're in Central Jersey or Monmouth County, the buy right in Homedale has it. Take a little sip of something, warm up a little bit. Boy, that's really nice. Nonetheless, Mike and Richie were following this guy. I love this guy. If you're on the board, you're on Twitter, you knew landing Eric was a big deal for them. I'm not going to lie, I didn't watch a lot of film. You know, he's kind of famous for his, a little bit of Mark Gastineau in him with his sack celebration dance. But nonetheless, much needed position of defensive end, pass rusher, which we all know we need. 6'3" and 250. Some chatter is, it's James Madison. We'll get to that in a second. James Madison is a great feeder program for us. We'll get to that in a second. Is he undersized at 6'3", 250? Well, there was this other guy that was 6'3" to 240, 6'4" to 240. And his name was Lawrence Taylor. So, yeah, there's that. So I'm not worried about the size. He was one of the top defensive ends available. And like I said, a favor on the Rutgers boards. he joins Daryl Nagoe and can Lionel Hemphill, defensive coordinator, be far behind? I know that some people are rooting for that. And I think it makes sense from a standpoint of James Madison is the kind of program we can pilfer from because, A, the price would be right for players or coaches. They're a successful program. They've done well. Some people thought they should have been in the playoff a couple of years ago and were kind of ripped off. And led by Lionel Hemphill, they have a top 25 defense. So this is a really good fit from a guy that just makes plays. He's from Tottenville, Staten Island, went to LIU, transferred out, always made plays. Here's his stat line. It's pretty ridiculous for this past year. 52 tackles. You've probably seen this. 18 and a half for loss. Are you kidding me? What is that? 36, 7, 8% of his tackles for loss. Look, I was a double major at Rutgers, history and political science, minor in English, wanted another minor in urban planning, so a little slow on the math, but it's probably in that 37, 38% range, which is pretty damn good. And 13 sacks, really super productive. And when I talked about getting guys in the portal, it's not just about getting guys with high upside, developmental guys. We need guys who are productive, no matter where they're from. Because if they're productive, they're productive. If you put them in spots and put them in positions where they can succeed and win, they'll probably be productive for you as well. So that's really productive. Second in the Sun Belt in sacks, fourth highest in the country. One interception for a touchdown. Who was that against? Ball State, I think. I think it was Ball State. And he has 4 pass breakups. So this guy just makes plays. And I hope we have enough talent around him to be able to have him in a position where he can just be the total disruptor. So, you know, as a group of 4 first team kind of guy, as I said, he's coming from the type of program that is a good feeder program for us. I want to say that before he got there, he was kind of a catalyst to take them, to push them forward defensively. But as a team with, what I think we had, 22 sacks? We have to do better. Not just with we have to get the quarterbacks on the ground because we struggle with just missing them and the quarterback making a play. You know, we have to get them on the ground, but we need more pressure. We need more consistent and more volatile pressure up front to have any success on defense next year. And I think he just reeks one of those guys that can take the next step up. And if we can fill in the holes in defense, I think he can be one of those guys that can be really successful for us and maybe plays his way into a second-day pick in the NFL. I know the guys, Night Report, really excited to get him. This was a guy that they were targeting and hope we got, and we got him. Like I said, James Madison was a top 25 defense. So, this is a good strategic target for us. And once again, despite a disappointing ending to the season with a loss against Kansas State in the Red Bowl, Coach Shiano and staff continue to chop away, and we have another addition. And I'm not going to wax poetic about the center position, although it's really an important position, and they're usually really smart guys that call the offensive line formations. Nonetheless, we get Gus Zielinskis' brother from Colorado, hopefully being a really good center, is in the genes. He, judging what I can get from, different sources and, including, guys that cover Rutgers, he's kind of margin. So Shedeur Sanders was one of the most pressured college quarterbacks, and Deion was always complaining about that, and he blamed everything on the offensive line, even after they weren't as bad as you might have thought, and gotten better actually. So it sounds like a sort of marketing plan by Deion to explain any issues that Shedeur might have had, whether it's not making a play, holding onto the ball too long, not escaping the rush, whatever it might be. It sounds like the offensive line maybe got more blame than they should have in certain circumstances, and that Hank Zelinskas might have been like a fall guy for that type of thing, and that absolutely, positively would not surprise me with Deion. I remember his rants about the offensive line a couple of years ago, and to backtrack here for a second, I'm probably the only person on the face of the planet that doesn't think Shedeur Sanders, a lot of Giants fans want him. Let me say this now, he is not a fit for the wind and cold of Giants Stadium this time of the year. Have you ever watched him? The ball comes out of his hand with a really slow, high release. The ball has a flow to it. Now, he's really accurate, but he's made for a 1980s West Coast offense where you can do these short, quick, intermediate passes, and he'll be really accurate with that. Arm strength, not the best. Is he going to throw it through the winds at Giant Stadium? No, he's not a fit. So I happen to think Shedeur Sanders might be, one of those guys that overdrafted, unless you get him with an offensive guru who runs a West Coast offense and who's a good coach who can get the best out of him. So I think sometimes Deion, is kind of providing cover for Shedeur. So I'm not really worried about Hank Zelinskas. Hopefully he does well, and I at least think he has some upside, and he has a year to kind of chill out and, play alongside somebody he knows really well. So good job by Rutgers continuing to have a solid season in the portal season. This is going to be a new season for Coach. It's portal season, right? It's not Kansas State season. It's a portal season. We'll keep an eye on what else goes on with potential transfers, DCs. Everybody, I hope you're staying warm. It's going to be a cold January. We got some snow on the way, possibly tonight, maybe on Monday. Everybody, cheers and have a great weekend.